The Bengals offense has scored 67 points in their last two games. They're coming off of a huge win over the Panthers. Are they the best offense in the NFL? Thoughts on Joe Burrow and an offensive evolution in Cincinnati. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He is Andrew Fox Miller, and we're part of the Big Play Network. Catch us every single Tuesday at 8 Eastern, right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, right here on YouTube, and weekly on Bally Sports. And make sure, as Andrew and I do every weekend for sure, almost daily, crack open a cold garage beer when you're enjoying the show. And Andrew, let's dive in to this Bengals offense. And let's start with Joe Burrow. For all of the talk about the wrist and the flexing and the is he throwing it deep and all of those things, you look up and Joe Burrow has 7 touchdowns, 1 interception, is completing 71% of his passes, and is playing at a high level. We already mentioned the Bengals offense, how high of a level they're playing at, 67 points in the past 2 games. What stands out to you the most about Joe Burrow in this offense right now?
I'm thinking big picture when you look at not even the past month, just kind of where we are in the season. To me, it feels like this offense, Burrow, already kind of hitting their stride here. I mean, especially Jamar Chase from what we saw in this last game. So everything seems to be clicking on this offense. That feeling that we had that we usually don't get in each season until October, maybe even November, but it kind of pushes into the fall. Here we are. Obviously, there's other things to worry about right now, but it's a pretty good feeling in that regard. And hey, we got the win. No more 0-3 statistics we have to hear about. It's behind us. Now we can talk about 1-3 statistics.
Exactly. It's not fully behind anybody. And it won't be. And we're going to get into the Ravens coming up in just a few minutes because it's obviously a huge game at Paycor Stadium on Sunday, and we're going to have you covered here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk all week long. But I look at it and I see an 86 overall rating against the Patriots, but he certainly didn't play well. Since then, his quarterback rating was its worst out of the last 3 games on Sunday, where he played awesome. 100.5 quarterback rating. It's because of the interception.
Right.
But he's thrown for 978 yards, and to me, is playing as well as you could have expected, anticipated him playing, given the nature of what happened last November, given the nature of the surgery, the comeback, the fact that he said he didn't start throwing till early April. I was told on good accord it was late March. The point is that he went months without throwing a football. So for him to be playing at the level he is, I mean, think about some of the throws he's made over the past week plus. The 2 deep balls to Jamar Chase for touchdowns, the thread the needle in the middle of the field to Andre Yosavash, the Andre Yosavash throw against Washington on the sideline where it's a frozen rope. Like Joe Burrow is making all the throws, which we're used to seeing. What we're not used to seeing, Andrew, is the how in this offense. The how looks much different because 1 week in Kansas City, it's Mike Gesicki leading them in receiving. And then against the Commanders, oh, it's Jamar Chase having a huge game with 2 touchdowns. And then you look around, and on Sunday against the Panthers, it's 2 running backs, Zach Moss and Chase Brown, or Chase Brown and Zach Moss, however you want to slice and dice it up, leading the way, combining for 131 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns. Zach Moss had a touchdown reception. Chase Brown ran for 2 TDs. I'm liking this offense because they can beat you in so many different ways now. And it isn't Joe Burrow spread the opposing defense out and make your reads. They can do that, but they can do a whole bunch of other stuff and win games that way too.
And we say a whole bunch of other stuff. Talk about the run game. Not only is it there's confidence in the run game,
Mhm.
but everyone's playing a critical part and they're executing. Look at even the blocking from
Yep.
anybody on the team. Jamar threw a block. Like everyone is contributing, and this offense appears high powered. It's exactly what we were hoping for, and looking at the talent that they retained, the talent that they drafted, all the upside. We haven't even unlocked the upside of some players that are out there that they've even drafted right now. So
Mhm.
yeah, I know it's not perfect. I know there's room for improvement. Joe said it himself. But as a Bengals fan, I feel like you're kind of hitting the potential that you were looking for, and we're just now getting into October. It's a good feeling offensively.
When you paint the path to winning the division, to getting out of an 0-3 hole, to me, the step one is, all right, well, how's Joe Burrow playing? Oh, he's playing awesome. Step two, how's the offense around him playing? We'll get to the offensive line in like 3 minutes. Like the fact that those things are happening at a high level is so reassuring to me, regardless of the defense. This is an offensive league. It's a quarterback league, and I get it. You got to do some things on defense, which we'll talk about. But like, this is the path, and you're right. The fact that they're doing this after the first month of the season, and there's still kinks. There's still times where it gets a little. It's almost like they have the Swiss Army knife, and they have so many options and things that they can do, and it's like, all right, well, which button should we press here? And they're still working through that a little bit, just the balance in general. But this is the most versatile, the most diverse offense that Burrow has been in because of how the running backs complement each other, the three tight ends complement each other, the wide receivers work really well together and fit well and complement each other, because I'll keep using that word. Like, all of these things are fitting together. And I love the scheme, in whether it's a rookie like Eric all the way up to a veteran like Zach Moss, to Mike Gesicki, like whoever you look at, they're going to have big games this year, key contributions, and the offense just fits. And I think this was the vision, but very rarely, especially early in the season, does a vision like that come together, and it's come together rather quickly for the Bengals.
And you talk about vision, not even from a personnel standpoint, but let's talk about the playbook for a second. It truly hasn't even opened up yet, and I don't know what that's going to look like. Maybe we won't like it. I don't know, but look at all the potential you have now. You can kind of hold back a bit. You could completely unleash depending on the circumstances. I don't know what that looks like with pitcher. I don't know what that looks like with Zach Taylor yet. But man, the options feel like they're almost limitless. You could really have a lot of fun and really get creative when the time comes.
Notice that no one's talking about Jermaine Burton right now.
I alluded. I didn't say it, but yeah, we talked
No,
about
no,
yeah.
and it's, by the way, that's not a knock at Jermaine.
Right.
That's a whole nother thing that they could get to. That's a whole
Exactly.
nother option that could happen. And to your point, like they just have so many cards, so many options. And when you have a quarterback that has a superhuman brain and superhuman computer that literally analyzes, scans, that's why he made that throw. So that, and he gets lucky here because Zach Moss slips.
Yeah.
But the throw to Zach Moss at the end of the first half against the Panthers,
Right.
he just read the defense, was like, no one's going to be there. He's going to be able to walk in. Zach had no idea it was coming to him. That was not the play call. If he gets tackled, the half ends and they don't get any points. And Zach slips and is still able to get in. Thanks to Nick Scott for slipping. But that's how Burrow is reading things right now. Because if Zach didn't slip, he does probably run over Nick Scott into the end zone, and it's much, much easier than it looked. That being said, just another example, Zach Moss making great plays, Chase Brown making great plays, the guys in front of them making great plays. Joe Burrow wasn't sacked on Sunday against the Panthers. How good is this offensive line? We'll discuss that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Fox-Miller. I'm James Rapien. We're part of the Big Play Network. Catch us every single week on Cincinnati Bengals Talk at 8 Eastern on Tuesday nights. And let's get into this offensive line, Andrew, because for years, and I hesitate, for years, we've talked about this line. And Cincinnati has been scarred, rightfully so. Joe Burrow has literally been scarred because he's played behind crappy offensive lines. And he can't say that, but I can. And yet I look up and you check the 34-24 score and you realize, oh man, Joe Burrow wasn't sacked against the Panthers. First time in multiple years since 2021. And not only that, he looked comfortable all game long. This offensive line was opening up running lanes for Chase Brown, 5.3 yards per carry. Zach Moss ran for 50 plus yards. This is by far the best offensive line of the Joe Burrow era this far. And it's a small sample size, but where is your confidence level right now in the Bengals offensive line?
Really where it's been the offseason leading up to this regular season, which is, man, like we're fortifying what we already have, and we're adding some talent, in my opinion, compared to what we lost. In Amarius Mims, it's unfortunate with Trent Brown and that whole situation. That's a key piece that would have been some high level depth, if nothing else. But man, Like Amarius Mims, Jadeveon Clowney, like we're not talking like prime Clowney. I get it, but he's still playing at a high level. You could really mess with a rookie when you're someone at the level of Jadeveon Clowney. And look what just happened. That's unreal to me. Like I love it. To me that's a coming out party for Amarius Mims, in my opinion. That maybe a lot of people wouldn't have noticed or caught on to in real time during the game.
Yeah, his first career start, Amarius Mims, and the play of the game, which really was just insane. Jamar Chase's 63-yard touchdown. And Burrow, if you rewatch the play, Burrow is holding the ball in the pocket. One read, two reads, three reads. Oh, there's Jamar. He's open. Like he has so much time to get across it, get his eyes and scan the field, scan the field, scan the field. Then he throws it to Jamar, and Jamar does the rest. The offensive line, a big part of that. Joe Burrow was asked about the men in the trenches on that play following Sunday's win over Carolina.
They gave us a pressure look and dropped out of it. Brought one of those guys, and offensive line did a great job on that play. I could have sat back there for another 5 seconds if I wanted to.
The line is playing their tails off right now, giving him great protection. So he feels like he can sit back there, you can call anything, and the run game obviously is starting to take off, and there's a lot of confidence there as well.
I know they're playing really well right now. Excited about where those guys are at. Really happy with how Mims played today. That was very encouraging. I knew he was going to come out and play well, but to have that kind of performance against a rusher like that was impressive. So he's going to just continue to get better and better.
How about the end there, where Amarius Mims gets mentioned? Joe mentions him, and I think everyone feels the same about Amarius. It's like, man, just get him as many reps as you can, get him as much experience as you can, because all of the physical traits, the work ethic, by the way, behind the scenes has been praised by people in the building. Like when you hear Joe talk like that about someone, you know that they're doing the right things. And so far, so good. He keeps checking boxes. Amarius Mims looks to be one of those ones, Andrew. It looks like the Bengals got a good one.
Yeah, I don't think Joe's the type either to just say it to help prop somebody up and give them confidence. I'm sure he's aware of it, and I'm sure it's appreciated, but he's not doing it just to do it. Talking about the multiple reads Burrow has and the time he has back there, it's almost like in a video game when you complete the entire game, and if you were to start it all back over, almost like a new game plus, and you have all the tools that you need, like how would this look now? Like that's what we have with Burrow. It's like everything that he was capable of, now we're being able to see some opportunity for him and be able to utilize it on a more consistent basis because of that time and his skill set. He's able to let it flourish. It's going to be fun to watch if this all is sustainable.
And that's the question. And they're going to be tested this week against Baltimore. There's no doubt about it. You have Justin Madubuike, who's just an awesome defensive tackle. They paid him a lot of money this offseason. A really good defensive front. Travis Jones has kind of emerged. His second-round pick was drafted a few spots behind Cam Taylor-Britt a couple of years ago. So this Baltimore front, they always reload. They always have guys. They're going to be tested. And I'm excited to see that matchup and see how they hold up. By the way, I look at these other four guys. Alex Kappa, I think, playing really well after a slow start in week one. Ted Karras, as balanced as they come, as stabilizing as they come at center. And then sneaky good, the left side of the Bengals offensive line. Cordell Volson is a coming out party. I told him before the Carolina game, like, man, you are playing awesome. You're playing, so he's having an awesome year. And when you're 0-3, it's not like I'm going to be like, man, this left guard is awesome and just brag about him because the Bengals needed to get a win. But I'll share it now because I thought he was really good again against Carolina. And Orlando Brown Jr., by the way, clearly was hampered by the groin last year. He's well on his way to another Pro Bowl and maybe more. He's playing at a really, really high level, elite pass blocking right now. Really confident in this Bengals offensive line. They're going to be tested this week against the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals defense is also going to be tested against anyone, against Andrew's son's little league team, because they can't tackle anyone right now, Andrew. And Derrick Henry's coming to town. I don't know if you've heard of him. Lamar Jackson's also coming to town. How in the world are the Bengals going to solve their defensive issues before Sunday? We'll discuss that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. I'm James Rapien. He's Andrew Fox Miller, and it's time to talk defense. Andrew, the defense, the unit that has struggled the past couple of weeks. You know what's crazy is they struggled in Carolina, and they only gave up 10 points after halftime. It didn't feel like it felt way worse than that. And that's what's kind of scary is Andy Dalton completed 63% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, had plenty of deep balls, including a 39-yarder, and they ran for a buck 55 and arguably the most efficient and best offense in the NFL through the first month. The Baltimore Ravens are coming to town with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Is there any hope that the Bengals can slow the Ravens offense down, knowing that they've struggled with missed tackles, knowing that they've struggled as much as they have over the first month of the season?
I mean, if we're gonna look for hope anywhere, I guess it's a matter of looking at historically with Lou Anarumo's defense. They tend to show up and play up to their competition sometimes when you least expect it, and this would qualify for among the matches that I would least expect it because of what they're up against right now. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to think back in the last several years of a time where they're dealing with people in injuries on the defensive line, players coming back from injury on the defensive line. That I'm not sure. I'd have to really think about that one. But man, even with Hendrickson, he is your defense right now, and he's banged up. I don't feel great about it, but I've seen crazier things happen, especially on this defense.
Sure, of course. The Bengals' path to having a decent defense is what you saw at the beginning of that Carolina game. It's splash plays. They're flawed. But let's just call it like they're flawed. Even if they get some reinforcements back, they're going to get pushed around a little bit. DJ Reader from 2021 isn't walking through that door. Geno Atkins not walking through that door. I would love it. I would love
Oh,
for that to happen. Those guys aren't there. And so the way to kind of hide that is to force turnovers, is to find a way to get sacks, get big fourth down stops. So Chris Jenkins's play on Sunday against Carolina, huge. Trey Hendrickson hitting the ball up and Von Bell intercepting it, huge. You need those kind of plays. And so when it comes to Derrick Henry, it's tough because he may run for 2 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards. He's hard to tackle. And then suddenly he gets ahead of steam and he's gone because he's faster than you. He's faster than your defensive backs a lot of times, and certainly stronger. And so that's the challenge. And then the other challenge is Lamar. I mean, that Ravens offense, they will out physical you. They have weapons, they have speed, and so it's really tough. At the same time, to your point, Lou Anarumo and sometimes can find these elixirs for these high-end, high-powered offenses. And I think the path is turnovers, finding a way. And people say, all right, well, turnovers are lucky. No, create a couple of turnovers. And if you can do that, I think it would go a long way. Other than that, I don't think you're just going to line up and outmuscle the Ravens, given the injury issues, the youth, and talent level of the defensive front versus what the Ravens are working with from a skill position perspective and just their scheme in general.
yeah. And on the offensive side of the ball, like how much are you to control things? Uh, You could have big plays are great. You're just going to turn that ball right back over to the Ravens. How are you going to manage that and sort of pace things a certain way? It falls obviously on both sides of the ball, but when we talk about defense, yeah, there's something about Anarumo, and when there's something that you do really well, he is scheming to take that away or at least limit it and force you to find it in other ways. I'd be curious to see what that's going to look like against this Ravens team, considering how deficient we are in stopping the run. I don't know how they do it. I'm not going to be too pessimistic because again, crazier things have happened. This team just tends to show up when you least expect it.
I just want to know who's going to cover Mark Andrews. Inside joke. He's Andrew Foxmiller. I'm James Rapien. And up next, we're going to answer a simple question. The Bengals will beat the Ravens on Sunday if, and it's not a question, we're going to complete the sentence. We'll do that coming up next. Welcome back to Enter the Jungle. He's Andrew Foxmiller. I'm James Rapien, and it's Bengals Ravens on Sunday at Paycor Stadium. All right, Andrew, you're up first. Complete this sentence. The Bengals will beat the Ravens if.
Control the clock. I know that's a tall order, but do whatever you can to limit the ability for the Ravens to just chew up clock in the hands of Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. Because I don't know what that's going to look like against this defense, but I'm going to take my chances there with this offense playing the way and the level that they're playing, Cincinnati's offense. Because here's the reality. Even if the Bengals somehow force the Ravens to be playing from behind, I don't know that that really subdues this Baltimore offense. Like, they could effectively just hand the ball to Derrick Henry and they'd be down by 2 scores, and it's still going to be a real threat. And they'll probably be favored in that scenario in real time. Whatever you can do to limit those handoffs and the amount of opportunity they have with that, I don't know how you do it, Lou. I don't know how you do it, Joe. But I think they can. Will they? That remains to be seen.
The Bengals will beat the Ravens and improve to 2-3 on the season if Joe Burrow drops a 40-piece on Lamar Jackson's head. A 40-piece chicken McNugget, and that's what they need to do. McDonald's, call me, but you get the point. I was thinking back to October 24th, 2021, the famous Jamar Chase spin move game on Marlon Humphrey, where he spins out of a tackle, takes it to the house, silences the crowd in Baltimore. The Bengals went on to win that game 41-17. 41-17. They scored 28 points in the second half. Overwhelm them with your offense. Everything we led the show off with, overwhelm them. Just score, score, score. And the defense got to help out, get a turnover 2, stopper 2. Want to see that punter a couple of times.
Yes.
If you get to 40, I think you're going to be in good shape. I know that's a tall ask in the AFC North, but I've also seen Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and company do it. They did it en route to finishing that season in the Super Bowl. That win got them to 5-2. This one would get them to 2-3. They need it. The offense is playing well. I think that's the key. We're going to have you covered all week long here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk ahead of Sunday's game against the Ravens. So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell. And for Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching. Enter the jungle.